Hey folks, Doug here. Let's talk about the new word game from the New York Times. It's called Connections. As we tape this, it's currently in beta, but I suspect it's going to be a big hit based on what I'm seeing and hearing around town, as they say. Let's talk here in this video about how to play Connections so that you can enjoy this game to its fullest. Connections is a word game that is played on a 4x4 grid of words. So you have 16 words presented to you in a 4x4 grid. Your job, in order to solve the Connections puzzle, is to organize those 16 words into 4 groups of 4 words that have something in common, some commonality, a group. Now, that group is not going to be as vague as like 5-letter words, for example. There will be some substance to it. As a matter of fact, allow me to quote from the help that's provided here on the Connections game board. Of course, select 4 items, tap submit to check if your guess is correct. You have to find the groups without making 4 mistakes. So if you make more than 4 mistakes, the game is over. But if you can organize those 4 groups without making 4 mistakes, you win. And as they say here in the help, categories will always be more specific than 5-letter words, names, or verbs, for example. Now, this piece is important. The 4 groups are color-coded. So once you've identified a group, it is assigned a color code, and that's useful because there are 4 color codes. There is, I'll call it yellow, green, blue, and purple, and those correspond to the, in the esteemed opinion of the editors of the game, the difficulty level of the categories, from straightforward to tricky. So I presume it's always going to be a delight if an early category you get is the purple one, because you got the toughest one. So I imagine there is going to be some strategy that plays into this as well. I got to tell you, I've played this a bunch, and it is a fun game. So having the basic rules of the road laid out for us, let's go ahead and play some Connections. So here we are. This is the July 14th Connections puzzle, and we are presented with the following words today: Tug, Shank, Cuban, Josh, Chuck, Rob, Ferry, Round, Junk, Sub, Loin, Melt, Club, Flank, Sue, and Yacht. And I think one of the things you probably find, I like reading all 16 words, because what I've found in my experience with this is a lot of time, the first category will jump right off the page to me. And I think that I have one of the categories pretty much figured out. And I believe the first category is types of steak. So here we have flank. There is flank steak. There is shank steak, I believe, is a type of steak. Chuck steak. And I believe, I suspect loin would be one of the steak types as well. To my knowledge, Tug isn't a steak. Cuban, I don't believe, is a steak. Josh, if there are any Joshes out there in the audience, you may think you're a steak, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to say no. Rob, Ferry, Round, Junk steak. Well, I can think of a few restaurants around here. Sub, Melt, Club, Sue, Yacht. I don't think those are steaks, so I'm pretty confident, and we're going to go ahead and see if I am, in fact, correct. Are these all steaks? And one away, so I was wrong about one of these. So 3 of these are steaks, and I'm missing something here. Okay, maybe Round? So then that, of course, now Shank, Chuck, Flank, and Loin. And that's another part of Connections, right? There will be these categories that have one word that could straddle a few categories to trip you up. You know what's interesting to me now that I look at this, okay? I see what I think might be another category, but the problem with that is I only see... No, I do see 4 possibilities here. So I think I'm going to go with a different category, because I think I also have a category that I'm going to put sub in, I'm going to put club in, I'm going to put Cuban in, and I'm going to put melt in. And what, you might ask, if you haven't already figured this out, do these words have in common? I believe they are sandwiches. Club sandwich, a sub, Cuban sandwich, and a melt, like a turkey melt or a tuna melt. So let's see, is that a category? And in fact, it is sandwiches. And that was the green category, which I believe, if I recall, was the second category in the easiest to hardest. So the second easiest. Okay, so interesting. Oh, you know what else looks very promising here? Boat types, right? So you've got a tugboat, a yacht, a ferry, and then, of course, we'd be wondering what would be the fourth type of boat. Flank, Sue, loin, junk, rob, shank, chuck, Josh, around. Like, I feel like this has to do with boats, but I guess I'm not a nautical expert, and I'm struggling with that one, to be sure. Okay. Now, we also, by the way, have 4 things that could be names: Sue, Rob, Chuck, and Josh. By the way, not for nothing. And, you know, I believe when I was looking for steaks, I had flank, loin, if I recall correctly, chuck, and shank. Or did I have... No, I don't think I went with round. I think I went with shank. I'm wondering if instead of chuck, I go with round. And so we have shank, flank, loin, and round is our steaks. And then you would have Chuck, Josh, Rob, and Sue as names. And then yacht, tug, ferry, and junk is boats. That's what feels right to me. I think I'm going to take another swing at the steaks here. So are these the steaks? Yes, they are blue. Okay. So that was the second most difficult. Cuts of beef. All right, so we have the easiest and the most obscure. So I feel like we go here with Chuck, Josh, Rob, and Sue as the names, and that will guarantee we win today's connections. And of course, for style points, we try to figure out the connection between the remaining 4. So are these all names? Nicknames that are verbs. That was the tough one. Nicknames that are verbs. Chuck, Josh, Rob, Sue. I had them as names, didn't go that deep, and that was the toughest one. So I believe it's just straight up types of boats. I'm not sure what a junk boat is, but I guess I'm about to find out. So show me, I believe, types of boats here. And what is the category? Oh, you do have to select them first. Ceremonial nature, obviously. Show me types of boats. Boat. Okay, boats. So there it is. I guess there is such a thing as a junk boat. And there you go. And that's another fun thing about connections. Just like with Wordle, you can share like a grid that demonstrates your progress through that puzzle. And in here, you can see we missed one of the stakes, and then we got them in that particular order: green, blue, purple, yellow. So a fun game here. Indeed. Connections, another fun one in the books. Hope you enjoyed this video and you've gotten what you need to know to get started and enjoy connections. Let me know in the comments below if you like this game, if you've enjoyed it. And thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you had a good time. And I'll see you next time on Doug Man's Land.